You're back with us live in Pioneer Park in Geelong. Today's Fistball Australia National Championships on streamer.com.au. And for our Perth viewers, good afternoon to you, by the way. Hope you enjoyed the first couple of games of action. It's your first showing of the ID Athletic Western Fisters, led by Dan Const, Will Schofield, and of course, Monica Schwitter. Both sides, the Western Fisters and South Australia, coming off losses in their first games. Both in 3 sets. Western Fisters having been defeated by Vic Country in 3 sets. And South Australia having been beaten by New South Wales also in 3 sets. So both teams will look to have a real cracking contest here for their first wins of today's championship. We know New South Wales are unbeaten with 2 wins in a row. Here is the lineup for the ID Athletic Western Fisters. Will Schofield, the former West Coast Eagles premiership defender, the unsung hero, if you will, of that magnificent side. Then Nick Westall and Dan Const at the bottom of the lineup. Monica Schwitter, the coach. Jackson Bowen, James Reynolds, Tylen Kaiser, Ryan Robson, Bevan van der Leest, and Pierre Comte. Pierre Comte, they call him the Papa. Will Schofield, the premiership spoilmaster. And Dan Const, well, glass fist Const. And big bad Bevan van der Leest. And Mr. Ronaldo, James Reynolds, in action today. Jackson Bowen, ready to shine, just like the late, great Ziggy Stardust. The late, great David Bowie, hence that nickname. The Swiss Express, Monica Schwitter, leading the side as coach today. And dare I say it, Perth viewers, watch out for this Western Fisters side. It's been a dream 8 weeks in the making. And as we see, the South Australian side virtually unchanged from the side that lost to New South Wales in 3 sets, led by the tutelage of Chris Mill. But as the players go for their warm-ups, it was a pipeline dream 8 weeks in the making by Dan Const and Will Schofield after discovering the sport of fistball and the banter and innuendos that come with that. They've put together a team. They had tryouts here in Perth. Up to 100 people tried out for this team, but they only brought 10 with them. Originally, Hamish Brayshaw, the East Perth champion footballer and the Sandover medalist from this year, was set to take part, but unfortunately, other circumstances prevented him from taking the trip over to Geelong. There is the South Australian team. As the game is underway and the Western Fisters strike first. They get the first point off a very good serve. 1-0 to the Western Fisters. The power station this time looking to counter. Here comes Schofield. South Australia aiming to counter, but to no avail. Moroney trying to spike that one up towards the forwards, hit the net. And it's now 2-0 to West Australia. The Western Fisters off to a dream start. South Australia, they must respond. Denholm with another deep serve. Set up for Schofield, not as deep. Schofield, that's a good setup into attack. South Australia look to counter. Moroney. Here comes Bowie. Where's the spoil master? He's going to play his role today. Very competitive point being contested here. Mr. Ronaldo sets up now for van der Leest. South Australia trying to keep this one alive. Schofield. Van der Leest attacks it well. Now South Australia again, they just find those ways to counter from defence. Forced back now, the Western Fisters. Scully goes big. just in. Moroney under the net again. So that's 2 in a row. That Moroney is conceded, and the Western Fisters, they are starting like a house of fire, 3-0 in this first set. Well, they'll have that little extra fire in their belly, the Western Fisters, after a close loss to Vic Country. Reynolds, Schofield. And now the South Aussies. Oh, they could have countered that, but a bit of miscommunication. The Western Fisters keep it alive. Van der Leest. What can South Australia do here through Denholm? He goes big. Oh, that was close. West Australia again pacing themselves, going into attack. Another hotly contested point we've got here. Almost miscommunication from Schofield and Bowen. And Van der Leest couldn't get it the way he wanted. He attempted to attack back to the net, but it just came off the wrong side. And 3-1 is now the score. South Australia, they get their first points. It's just gone past midday here in Perth, so good afternoon to you all if you're just joining us for the first time. Schofield serves, and now South Australia, they were having to retreat in order to counter. Going to the net, Moroney. And that one bouncing in front of the net there. Schofield looking to try and lob that one over the net, but it didn't come off. So West Australia, the Western Fisters, they got the first 3. South Australia, they've got the next 2. Schofield going shallow this time. All of South Australia's 5 pressing forward. Well played by Bowen to keep it alive. They send it back to Schofield. Plenty of power with that right fist. The spoil master. Great play by South Australia, advancing closer to the net. Van der Leest. That one doesn't come off again, so that's 2 straight errors. And South Australia level it up. A surge of momentum for the South Australians after West Australia broke away early. South Australia's attackers advancing forward. And that one is under the net there from Denholm, and West Australia, they'll be relieved at that, stopping the run from South Australia. 4-3 is the score. The Western Fisters lead. Van der Leest, Bowen, Schofield. That one just underneath. And South Australia respond 4-all. And a change for Western Australia. The Western Fisters, they've got an interchange coming. It looks like it was Schwitter there. The Swiss Express. Set up now from Zolg. Moroney. And that was brilliantly set up. Moroney was able to go shallow enough to not give Bowie the opportunity to try and rebound that one from defence. So South Australia, they're on a bit of a run here. They now lead it 5-4. Good little fight back by South Australia, having conceded the first 3 points, and now South Australia lead at 5-4. Here's Moroney again. This time he went shallow. Didn't get all of it. All eyes on Schofield. A lot of height on that one. Communication crucial between these two teams. Moroney, being South Australia's key attacker. Again, the Western Fisters able to rebound, but a bit too far out. Schofield's able to keep it alive. Real contested battle we've got here. This is well set up for the Spoilmaster. And again, South Australia well primed in their defensive setup. Almost missing that one there was Bowen. Pushed forward for the Spoilmaster. Oh, that one just picked up with the slight breeze that we got here. And that one will be in South Australia's favour. And that will be a 6-4 lead to South Australia. And a couple of changes being made for the Western Fisters. A couple of players going to the bench. The Western Fisters 4, South Australia 6. And this time the Western Fisters, they get a point back. 6-5. The Western Fisters, a bit of a slump, but they were able to get one back. South Australia with that 6-5 lead. Schofield, he got the wheels going there, did the Spoilmaster. Age is just a number. It's a point for South Australia, however. Zolg was able to find himself in great position to go for the attack close to the net. And he was able to net the point for South Australia. Schofield with the serve, but South Australia well primed in their setup on defence. However, it's a Western Fisters point. That one was just underneath the net, his right foot. And Western Australia, they stay alive. And now it looks as though it's Denholm this time. And that one was well out of play. The breeze just picking it up. And West Australia, they've got one back. It is now 7 apiece. This is turning into a real hot shoe first set. And what I found interesting there, Denholm serving from the corner rather than right on the middle of the service line. So a good change of tack by the South Australians. 7-8 it is now. And just getting the ball from the other side of the metal fence. Almost out of play. Moroney. Not as deep as he first thought it would be. But it allows the Western Fister to set up. Bowen. He got it. Great play by the Western Fisters. Bowen and Schwitter, the Swiss Express. The Swiss Express turning up the speed. Monica Schwitter, the most experienced of the lot at 44. Also the playing coach of the side. Oh, and the serve chipping the net. So straight away, the Western Fisters take back the lead. Of course, remember, first to 11, but by at least 2 wins you the set. Or in this case, or in some cases, you could win 15-14 if it goes that far. South Australia, down 8-9. Here comes the Swiss Express, setting that one up. This is a big opportunity for Kaiser. And that is off the net again. So South Australia level things up at 9 apiece. Real tight first set we've got here. South Australia having to retreat, but now they set it up for Denholm. Denholm, I don't think that was the right way to do it. Would have looked for that gap. There was a bit of a gap on that right-hand corner, but not to be. So the Western Fisters now 10-9. They can take the set if they win this next point. Keeping it alive there was Robson. Here comes Kaiser. Got a little bit of height there, making sure it's kept alive. This one is close. Schwitter just kept it alive. Kaiser really has to go bang on this one. He does. Facing the pressure, South Australia. Well played by Denholm and Zolg. Schwitter. Got some air on that. A little more shallow this time from Kaiser. That one just in front of the service line. It sets up well for Moroney. Left hand from Bowen. Good setup. This is going to allow Kaiser to go right down the middle. But it's a great formation on defence for South Australia. Got a little bit more height on that one, did Moroney. Another hotly contested point we're seeing here. Schwitter. Here comes Bowen. Set up nicely for the power station. It's close, not close enough. And the Western Fisters take the first set. And aren't they happy? So 11-9, the Western Fisters. But it has to be said, that was a tremendously competitive first set. Back and forth it went. The Western Fisters took an early lead. They got the first three, but then gave up the next three. And then it was back and forth throughout. The Western Fisters got some breathing space. They take the first set, 11-9. But that last point was hotly contested. A little bit of back and forth, some brilliant attack and defensive play. And that was the last point shown on the replay. And the Western Fisters, they are pumped about it. Now they have a chance to keep that form going in the second set. But South Australia, they don't want to repeat the same mistake they had in that second set against New South Wales. They dominated the first set, but just let that game slip. Dare I say it, it could have been one that got away. A couple of highlights from the first set. Western Australia lost control a little bit. Then they were able to fight back. A few errors in defensive play from the Western Fisters, but they were able to make amends. And here is Kaiser, the Tizzle, as he's affectionately known in the world of fistball. The Swiss Express, when she came on for the first time in the match, Monica Schwitter, I think that's what really changed the tide for West Australia. She's quick, very agile, also a vital setter as well. She was able to set up some brilliant points, and there you see the last point of that first set. A very happy team as we get the second set underway. Perfectly set up for Kaiser. And now South Australia will aim to fight back. They're a set down. We see the glass fist, Dan Const, on the right-hand side. Here comes Robson just inside. The referee not ruling that one. Moroney having to really launch it from afar. Well set by Reynolds. Now to Robson with the left hand. And that one just slips out of reach for the South Australians. And it is 1-0 to the Western Fisters. Just the start they wanted in this second set. WA leading 1-0. In comes the glass fist. Kaiser sets up Robson. What a dynamite left hand that is. He really went bang on that one. And West Australia, the Western Fisters, now extend that lead 2-0. South Australia, almost a mirror image of that first set. Moroney with a crucial serve. Went in quite deep. That's a good serve, forcing the Western Fisters to retreat. Kaiser does well. So too does Smith. And now Denholm. Anthony Denholm keeping it alive, but that's out. Make that 3-0. Deja vu from the first set, it seems. The Western Fisters have started well, but remember, of course, they let one out the bag. They conceded the next three, and a timeout has been called. That could be well calculated on South Australia's part. They trail 3-0 at the start of this second set. Mirror image of the first, when South Australia gave up the first 3 points, but they got 3 back on the burst. Through some brilliant play from Smith, Zolg and Denholm, but also off the back of a couple of Western Fister errors. As we see to our left, the Western Fisters regathering and taking their places back on the field. On the bench there, Westall and Schofield. Of course, Will Schofield, along with Dan Const, leading the Backchat network. A great job they've done over the last 12 months, especially in the last 8 weeks in putting together this Western Fisters team. And has gathered some great support here in West Australia and in Geelong. Here in Geelong, shallow serve from Moroney. Beautiful set there. Oh, it didn't come off. It didn't come off. It was well set by Robson. But Kaiser just couldn't get that one to go. So that is a South Australia point. Kaiser just having a chat with some of his players on the bench. He's not too pleased with that. Dynamic serve, Robson. If you want to respond from that mistake, that's the way you got to do it. Dobson with that dynamic left fist. Simply superb. 4-1 to the Western Fisters. Moroney to serve with his team in a bit of trouble. And that serve wide, I'm afraid, doesn't help the cause. Make that 5-1. Well, they have really bounced back, the Western Fisters, following that close loss to Vic Country. 5-1, South Australia with their backs against the wall. Much better serve this time. But the Fisters, they're primed. Oh, and Dobson, dare I say it, almost got coat-hanged by the net. But that deep serve from Moroney was much, much better. Western Fisters had to set up from far in defence. And the first punch came in from Bowen, but just got a little too much on it. 5-2. South Australia need to keep this game alive. Nice attack there from Moroney. Reynolds keeps it alive. Set up for Kaiser. And again, South Australia with 3 out the back. Moroney, he's played well. The glass fist looking to shatter. That's a decent set for Robson. That was very close. South Australia still keeping it alive. It's in the air. Here's Milne. Const. Second of the defenders. And it's underneath the net. So that'll be a point to South Australia. So a couple of errors being made here by the Western Fisters. The momentum just shimmering a little bit into South Australia's favour. Ryan Robson having a bit of a chat with Will Schofield, who's now back on. The Spoilmaster. The unsung hero of the 2018 Premiership for the West Coast Eagles. Robson serve, dynamite. He does it again. The linebacker. It delivers at a crucial time. Make that 6-4 for the Western Fisters. Are they drawing to a clean sweep in this game? Well, still a long way to go. 6-3. Well, they're in a bit of trouble. Oh, Schofield saves his sides. Bacon. Robson. Well done there by Schofield, keeping it alive. South Australia looking a little bit more steady. Moroney. Very deep. The glass fist from Const. That one's up in the air. Robson. He could really smash that one with the left fist. He does. Well set up for Moroney. He likes these. And that one was just out of reach for Schofield. It was a hell of an effort, but Moroney spotted the gap and went for it. That's great play from the power station. 6-4. South Australia aiming to keep this one alive. Moroney, that one just didn't come off the way he wanted to, but he kept it alive at least. This one's well set up. But Robson had his foot in front of the line. And that'll be a point to South Australia. This is a good fight back. Couple of errors, however. Got South Australia a little bit of light on this one, but they are playing well. Their defensive game has been very, very good. Moroney setting this one up for Zolg. Western Fisters under a bit of pressure now. Robson. Oh, he went a little too much there on the Monty. He had the bread, but dare I say it, a little too much barbecue sauce. And the scores are level. 6-6 in this second set. This time Schofield to serve. Underneath the net this time, and it's a Western Fisters point. Western Fisters, a bit of a relieving point, that one. Oh, Moroney went shallow. That's his specialty. The power station has decided to light it up again. He has done exactly that. It's level again at 7-7. Schofield got a little bit of height on that one. And that allows South Australia to creep forward. Moroney, he's been South Australia's key. Well set up. Too much. And Robson rather, he got coat hangered this time by the net. And that gives South Australia the lead. And a timeout. Timeout's been called by the Western Fisters. That one could be an important timeout. The Western Fisters, last couple of points, starting to lose their way. And conceding a couple of really unforced errors. That's allowed South Australia to surge back into the lead. The breeze starting to pick up here in Geelong. It's mostly to the east of Pioneer Park this afternoon. The players back out on the field. 8-7 in South Australia's favour in this second set. They win this one, it goes to a decider. But if the Western Fisters can get back the lead and win this one, they take the match. South Australia keep this one alive, but that's an error. It was unnoticed. It was an error on the serve. And South Australia get the 9th point. Vital breathing space now for South Australia. Moroney has caused a few headaches for the Western Fisters, and that's another one. Great play from the power station. He has been sensational in the times when South Australia have been under the most pressure today. He's been that prime attacker, striding to the net and looking for those gaps to really attack the opposition. Schofield with a good serve, but that defence from Maddox doesn't come off well. Schofield's serve setting up that 8th point for the Western Fisters. 10-8 in South Australia's favour. 2 more games in the preliminary rounds coming up here on Court 1. It's a Victorian showdown. Metro play Country. And then the Western Fisters play Vic Metro in the final preliminary game before we go to our playoff matches. Nice serve from Moroney. This will be set up for Schofield. Spallmaster, good hit there, just forcing South Australia to retreat a little bit. Now the glass fist of Const. Able to build. Kaiser. Nicely struck. Maddox able to get some air on that one. This will be set up for Moroney. If it's enough. No, it isn't. And the Western Fisters have scored the last 2. But South Australia, the last couple of attempts, have been looking to sew up the second set. But they can still do so if they get this next point. Well done there by Schofield, recovering it for the Western Fisters. Kaiser went wide. South Australia need to keep this one alive. Moroney, he's been magnificent. Western Fisters just steadying the ship now in this play. It's set up for Schofield. Slow it down, Maddox says. Well done there by Moroney, keeping it in the air. Set up now. Kaiser, looking to finish. Maddox loses out. And the Western Fisters tie it up. So that means now the margin will have to be by at least 2. So one team has to get the next 2 to win the set. And that's out. So the Western Fisters take the lead, but they have to score 1 more if they are to take out the match. Well, you talk about your action. Ha ha. Take nothing away from South Australia. They have played tremendous. If they take it to a deciding set, they will be high on confidence. Moroney to serve. It's clipped the net. And history in the making. The Western Fisters' first ever Fistball Championship win. And what a way to do it. They did make it hard on themselves a couple of times, but they've been able to play with great composure in this game and take out the match in straight sets. My golly, they will be happy. But take nothing away for South Australia. They played tremendously well. They never gave the Western Fisters any sort of real domination. They did concede the first 3 points in both sets, but they were magnificent in keeping themselves in the contest. But history in the making today. The Western Fisters have their first ever win in the Australian National Fistball Championships. That will be a moment in time. The teams acknowledge each other's efforts. They'll be a happy side, the Western Fisters, celebrating victory in this, their second match. So they are at 1-1. 1 win and a loss. South Australia, they are 0-2 after this second game. The Western Fisters, they have 2 more games. But South Australia looks like they are likely out of playoff contention. We'll hopefully get a score from their first game against Vic Metro very, very shortly. But the Western Fisters, they have their first win. They're still alive in playoff hopes. Coming up, we have a Victorian showdown between Vic Metro and Vic Country. Stay right where you are on streamer.com.au. That game will come shortly.